them all, man.
That I believe.
All right, everybody. Happy Monday. Today is Monday, September 22nd, 2025. We'll call this meeting of the Cumberland Town Council to order. Tonight, there were no workshops, so we are here with our regularly scheduled agenda. First up is the approval of minutes from the September 8th, 2025 meeting.
I'll give you a motion. Come on, Jeff.
Okay, I'll do it.
Give me a second.
No, I will give you, I'm gonna read it right out.
There's nothing on there. You just gotta give me a second.
We have a motion and a second.
I
Is
will
there
s-
any discussion on the motion?
I will second the approval of the minutes.
Okay, excellent. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous, Brenda. With that spirited beginning, first up on our agenda is the manager's report. Mr. Sturgis, what's shaking?
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the council. Good to see everybody this evening. I have a brief update that I can provide this evening, and I'm happy to report on a number of items. First and foremost, fall waste collection events. I'm going to say this until they're through and over with, but I want people to know about them and come. The town's going to host 3 consecutive weekend waste collection events in October. All 3 events will take place from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Public Works Garage on Drown Road. On October 11th, it's universal or e-waste collection. On the 18th, it's going to be confidential business documents shredding or confidential document shredding. And then on the 25th, the bulky item drop-off will be held. So these are great events that take place and gives people an opportunity to get rid of items that oftentimes are either nerve-wracking or tough to take care of. So I think we'll see how this goes year 2 on the drop-off. So we're looking forward to it.
Matt, what were the times again on those?
9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then update on regional partnerships and collaborations. So I know due to Councillor Vale's continued passion over the subject, we do have, I had the opportunity to sit down with my fellow managers from Yarmouth, North Yarmouth, and Falmouth last week, and we discussed a number of different areas that we had brought up earlier and looked at areas for shared services and strategic partnerships, as well as looking at different assets that we may want to discuss as well going forward for collaboration or sharing. But a follow-up meeting has been scheduled for October 1st, and that'll be held right here in this room for any councilors who may be inclined to go to that. It's going to be at 4 p.m., and it'll be right in here. And I think there's a couple of different council members from other towns who might have, a limited time availability, but they thought that everybody would at least be able to have some folks attend. So looking forward to that continued discussion and keep working on that progress. So we got that coming in hot. Next item, there's we're looking to have a planning board workshop or a joint workshop on LD 1829. That's kind of a follow-up from the last one. Bridget's been working on a lot of information regarding that, as well as mapping projects that she's done to show, the affected areas that are really under concentration with LD 1829 and what that may look like, as well as some decent information that she's pulled together on that to advance that discussion and keep us moving forward, at least the town moving forward in more informed fashion. And so they're looking to do that on October 27th, and that'd be before the council meeting on that night. So it would be at 5:30 workshop is what she'd like to do. I thought she was looking at November, but there's not a there's not going to be a planning board meeting in October, so she felt she had the bandwidth to be able to get everything ready and to the council and the other 2 bodies as well. So looking forward to that, because I think it's, there's a lot there, and hopefully we can provide more context and clarity for council, planning board, and the comp planning committee as everyone tries to get their hands around the subject, as well as the public for that matter. So solar project progress. All the documentation for the town's expansion for our Drown Road site has been signed, as well as the materials and the contracts and everything signed for the West Cumberland expansion as well. So that's all there. Materials are all being sourced and secured to ensure that they meet the safe harboring that allows the town to maximize the benefits from available tax incentives that are out there. So all things are moving forward rapidly to get that so we can maximize our benefits. And Guy and his team are working steadfastly on that. And then finally, Route 100 road safety improvements. We put out to RFP today to do the work on, or request for proposals for Route 100 road safety improvements project, and that would be between the stretch between Lower Methodist Road to Range Road. So the RFP was released today. We posted it on the main municipal website, as well as Doug Reynolds, who's our lead engineer on that, will be reaching out to local and a lot of the local contractors who we've had a great successful history of working with. The proposed deadline for that, or proposal deadline, is October 30th. So we're trying to give them plenty of time, as a lot of these firms are always, it's a busy time of year as they're trying to wrap things up, and we wanted to give them plenty of time to go through that. And then hopefully we can come back with some great bids. So that's what I have to report on this evening. Oh, actually, sorry, I have two other items. I forgot Chris had texted me earlier. Let's see. The floats at Broadco Reserve are going to be coming out on October 14th. So please be advised if you have or know anybody with boats in the area. The park will remain open until the snow flies, but the float will be closed. So so that you can plan on that. And then I think that's what I have. So yep, that is all I had. The other one was just in case another question came up. So that's all I have this evening, Madam Chair.
Awesome. Mike, yeah, go for it, Mike.
Matt, just a couple things for you. I really want to express to you my appreciation for Toby Young and Nick Plummer today, carting me around the first 9 at Valhalla. I hadn't been down that property since I was a kid. I mean, I told them last time I was down there, my buddy Pete and I walked up Pinewood Drive down there and went hunting. That's how long ago it was that. So, those two are just amazing, Matt. I don't golf, I don't know anything, but I asked a lot of stupid questions today. But Nick and Toby were right on it. The answers, everything they do is around the environment down there, and there's no wonder our golf course has such a great reputation. And I'm going to follow up with a letter to you, but I wanted to let you know personally, Matt, how impressed I was with those two. And I get to meet the mechanic down there, Wade.
Yeah, Wade.
And the assistant grounds keeper, and great staff.
Yeah.
Everybody loves working down there, which is good. Longtime employees, which says a lot about the operation and the management. So, but thank you. Thank you to Chris Bolick for setting it up, and I would encourage all the other councilors to get a chance to go down there. They loved it. They said, listen, it gets us out of the office, something. And the other thing is, I just want to, Matt, just pass on. I know the fire department's had a busy couple weeks since we met. I mean, from what I can gather, they've had 4 fires in the last few days, 3 car fires. They've had a fatal accident, and that's not including all the rescue calls they have from day to day. And Danny and the crew just have done a great job. And I know I received nothing but compliments from the people involved in the fatal out on 295. And I mean, they were going to the Turnpike 295 here in town. I left my house the other day, and I think I got a text we all got a group text about the fire down on Grilly Road. But there was a wind, it was spreading into the woods, The guys went down there. They had the equipment to take care of everything. And so my thanks to the fire department.
No, thanks, Councilor Eads. It's very much appreciated, and we are very fortunate to have Nick and Toby and their team, as well as our fire EMS team. They do a great job, and now it's all hands on deck this week as well. As you know, there are a lot of folks at the fairgrounds and doing a lot of extra duty there, and they've done a great job. And one of the car fires was at the Smash 'em Up Derby the other night, but they did have a pretty bad one on the Turnpike as well. Just tends to generate a lot of business and at different times of the year. So yeah, they're really fortunate. You know, the call company is amazing. They come out as well as our full-time staff. So town's truly blessed to have them. So, but thank you for that. I'll pass that along to all of them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, of course. Did you, Mike, get to try one of the new electric golf carts out?
Oh, yeah, we were, that was one of my big questions about, really, you honestly can't go past these lines and,
It'll shut you down.
So you tried.
I,
Cool.
Shut you down.
I didn't realize just how narrowly focused that GPS was. Even in the parking lot, you can only go to a certain end of it. You can't go anywhere near the greens, which I didn't know. And they said, no, that will sure enough ruin the greens. And they've done everything to minimize expense to the town and ensure a great resource for everybody. The one issue I see coming out of what I didn't realize how much of an issue maintenance-wise and cost-wise dogs are in the winter. And talking to Toby about it, and Toby's good. He takes a neutral stance on it, whatever you guys want. But he said, look, he goes, somebody from the Environmental Protection Agency came down, and they only went as far as the first tee, and they GPS 400 spots.
Oh, wow.
400, and that was all brand new, where people they go, and he says, you know, you get a dog walk with 12 dogs, and they're coming back with one bag. What's that tell you? He says, but 400, and that was just the first tee. So, I mean, we'll have to have a conversation in the future about it. But
Yeah, for sure. No, it's a challenge. It's
Yeah.
a challenge for them. But they do amazing work, and that
Oh.
the condition that course is in is just amazing 'cause in comparison to the summer that we've had. And I mean, you can tell as we were talking this morning, you can tell the areas that aren't irrigated. But what they
Yeah.
do in the way that Toby is so thoughtful as far as his, I guess you could say, the chemical management of that and the low impact that he gentle hand he takes on that is just, I think that's why the course is in such great shape. They're so dedicated to it.
you know, they had a tournament scheduled this morning, and Nick was saying that's another $6,000 to the town. The coffers, I mean, and he goes, we've had 25 tournaments this year, to the point we can't take anymore because we got to keep our regular members. But yeah, those guys are doing a good job.
It's awesome. Thank you.
Just one note on LD 1829. So in addition to the workshop, I had a conversation with Bridget, and so for the ordinance folks, Bridget, as she always is wildly on top of everything. One of my concerns was we don't want to be in hot water with that July 30th deadline, and Bridget was very much reassuring rather, that anything that would not be handled by the comp plan, she was already on top of it in terms of what are, I don't want to say low-hanging fruit, but what are some of the more housekeeping type of things that need to be addressed so that we can remain in compliance, and she is on top of that. So some of that will be coming to ordinance, and I think Denise is already aware of that, but just wanted to reiterate for Mike and Bob as well.
Madam Chair, I
Yeah.
think she's also planning on bringing a lot of, I guess you could say, focused questions to get direction in what direction the group would like her to go in as well after the October meeting, to like looking at minimum lot sizes, setbacks, things along those lines. That'll be, more mechanical. I think that you have
Okay.
to kind of, that she can get her homework done over the winter and maybe come forward with recommendations. So it's kind of turnkey at the time. But she'll be planning on looking at an element of that as well in that workshop.
Awesome.
She'll have
She's
good.
so proactive. So
awesome.
just on the team shout out, thank you, Bridget, for, I don't know, it made me feel better to know that she was wildly on top of it. So, okay, unless anyone has any other comments or questions for Matt. Great, we will move on to public discussion. Public discussion is for comments on items that are not on the agenda. Comments are limited to 5 minutes per person. Rebuttal comments will be limited to 2 minutes. Public discussion topics may be brought up again under new business for further council discussion. Is there anyone that would like to comment as part of public discussion?
You don't want to talk about Trail Fest? Okay. Indeed.
I think everyone's at the fair tonight. All right, so that'll move us on to legislation and policy. As part of that, there is the opportunity for public comment per Article 2, Section 7 of the Town Charter. There will be an opportunity for public comment on each item of the agenda. Comments are limited to 5 minutes per person. 25-097 to hold a public hearing to consider and act on a mass gathering permit for Fiesta Show's main celebration of lights to be held on November 28th through January 4th at the Cumberland Fairgrounds. This, in addition to being Councillor Douglas's favorite event of the year, is their third annual, event if we, approve the permit. It's a drive-through light show at the Cumberland Fairgrounds. And I think there's approximately 800 folks per day, features fried Oreos, and both the fire chief as well as the police chief don't have any concerns. But let's, unless anyone from the public would like to come forth as part of this public hearing to talk about this, we could move into council discussion, but any comments? Okay. Any council comments or discussion?
I know what you're going to say, Andrew. On behalf of Councilor Magoon, I'd like to address the fact that this was handwritten, and it would be much more helpful if this was typed in. Do we think we can work on that?
To the applicant's defense, Councillor Douglas via Councillor Magoon, every question on the application was filled out though and answered. So points for completeness.
We'll give 8 out of 10 as a result on this.
I mean, my question would be just more of is the new website going to allow it to be all filled out on the website so people don't have to print something out, write it out, scan it back in, then shred the paper or bring it in to hand it in, and then we scan it in and all. Is there a way that we can reduce steps in that and make it more efficient and get it typed?
Possibly. Yeah, we can, as a fillable PDF, Whitney said possibly we can, so.
Just here to support you.
Small step for mankind. Other council comments?
I have nothing. Don't.
Well, I love this event. I would be in support of giving you a motion if no one else has any comments.
I'm not arguing with an insurance certificate and fried Oreos.
All right. Wow.
All right, if there's no further council discussion, I'd take a motion.
I move to approve the mass gathering permit for Fiesta Show's main celebration of lights to be held November 28th through January 4th at the Cumberland Fairgrounds.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous. Brenda. Great.
Madam Chair,
Yeah, please.
is there any chance we can take item 25-101 ahead of the other ones?
That, I think, is a great call if there's no objection from anyone else.
I think it makes sense.
Somebody might, and we got a crowded audience here.
We've got to get Penny to the fair before all of the fried dough runs out. So please, Penny, we would love to have you. So 25-101 to express support of the Cumberland Town Council for the Shebig and Cumberland Land Trust and the Falmouth Land Trust Main Trail Grant application. Come on up, Penny. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Well, now I'm going to have to fast forward through my packet.
Sorry.
I mean, honestly.
Thank you very much, Mike. I'm Penny Asherman with the Shebig and Cumberland Land Trust. Thank you for the opportunity to come talk to you tonight. I'm coming before you tonight to ask for a letter of support for a trail grant that the CCLT and Falmouth Land Trust are submitting to the Main Trails program. You might remember back in November, we voted on the ballot for a trails bond for $30 million, and that passed. And so this is part of that program. So the funds are going to be given out over 4 years, and this is the first round, and the application is due Friday. It's going to be very competitive, and so we thought collaborating with our neighbors at Falmouth Land Trust and the town of Falmouth and you all, that we might have better chances of receiving funding. The goals of the project are to increase trail connectivity and trail user experience across Falmouth and Cumberland. So you can see on the map here, these are existing trails in red, and you can go from all the way over in North Falmouth Community Forest through Blackstrap Hill, Hadlock Forest, and into Rhines Forest, and then all the way up to Knights Pond. So there's a great existing trail network right now. So the goals of the project are to increase connectivity. We will be creating new trails in Watson Woods, which we just acquired in July, and also a new trail through Merrill Forest, which borders the Falmouth Cumberland line there, and that is owned by the Woodland Owners of Maine, and it's about 90 acres, and they use that property as a demonstration forest for sustainable forestry practices, and I've asked them, would they consider letting us put a trail through there? And they have said yes, and so we're working on a memorandum of understanding where they still own the property. The primary purpose of their property is for forestry sustainability, but CCLT would be putting in a trail that goes through and connects to, this is Turkey Lane, that little red squiggly, so you would come out, hop over Range Road, up Turkey Lane, which you reserved the right-of-way, into Watson Woods and connecting into Rhines Forest. So part of the grant is also making those connections. So making the connection to Hadlock Forest in Falmouth, and then from Watson Woods into the existing trail network at Rhines Forest, and also the Reed Family Farm and Woods will be putting a trail connector there too. And we also want to make sure that the trails are going to withstand a lot of public use. As you know, there are 550,000 people in Greater Portland. A lot of people are using these trails, and so we want to build good ones so that we're making sure that they're sustainable and can manage public use, a lot of public use, and also withstand the weather, the big weather events that we've been having lately. And we also are going to improve parking area. So at Watson Woods, we're going to have a right-of-way to a parking area, and that will enable another entry point into this whole network of trails. So we're asking for $250,000. That's the maximum. If we get it, we'll split the proceeds, and we'll use those funds for the new trails, parking, access road at Watson Woods, and connections to the Rhines Forest. So I've talked with John Jensenius about how we're gonna make the connection into Rhines Forest, and so we're going out there and figuring out where that's going to be and how we're going to get that done. I think it's important to work with our neighboring towns to help improve the regional trail network. And I think it can draw visitors to our town. So we have an event coming up on Sunday, Trail Fest, which you might have heard about. And mountain bikers and runners are going to do an event before that, and then they're going to make their way to Longwoods to come to the party. And so these are the kind of things we want people to do. We want them to come bike on our trails or hike and have coffee at Dara after. And so hopefully we're bringing some economic value to our local economy as well. So we would appreciate the town's support, town council's support for this grant. And I believe you have a letter maybe in your packet that you can review. So that's my first request. Just two other things to mention. We do have Trail Fest coming up on Sunday from 3 to 7 at Wander, and we have about 300 people so far. We'd love for you all to come. I think I sent you an email inviting you and a guest to join us. It should be a really fun event. It looks like it's going to be 74 degrees and sunny, so we're happy about that. And we've worked out with Wander, and I've talked with Bridget about parking. We'll be parking in the fields, and the police are going to put no parking along Longwoods Road so that people don't park there. So we hope that you'll join us. And lastly, last week we received a gift of 61 acres from the Seekins family, and they own the parcel in between Rhines Forest and Knights Pond called Farwell Forest, and we had an easement on 54 of those acres already. And they still owned that land, but now they've given the land to us, and they've given us 7 additional acres. So really exciting for us to take ownership of that and manage that. And it really was, I was telling Bob before the meeting started tonight, sitting around the table with all the family members, talking about their mother and her vision for making sure this forest stays protected forever and enjoyed by the public. It was really heartwarming experience. So another great acquisition for us to put in the books of all the great other conservation areas that we have in Cumberland. So that's it.
Congratulations, Penny. That's really exciting.
Thank you.
Does anyone have questions? Bob?
Just a comment. You never know what's going to come about it, and you know, people having vision for a community, and so you know, congratulations on the acquisitions and the commitment to all the communities. But just as a reminder, the town a few years ago was requested to relinquish Turkey Lane as a through road, and I remember when there were school buses going across Turkey Lane down to bottom of that, and if anybody was to walk down there today, they would say, oh no, this couldn't possibly happen. But over that same granite abutments, there was a bridge that the school buses used to cross. And anyways, so with the acquisition of Watson's property there, it's so critical that we retain that usage from both sides for future parking access. And I'm reminded that, you know, 2 other rights-of-way that the town still owns is passage over Greeley Road, extension all the ways up to
Blueberry Hill.
top of the hill, the second hill there.
Bruce Hill?
No, the next one, next
Hill.
road.
By Knights Pond? The Knights
One
Pond.
up to the orchard?
Yes, up to
That's-
Orchard Road there. So, as a kid, I've always driven that, and as an adult too, driven that with my four-wheel drive operator. And then there's Range Way also, that is still a through road to Harris Road. And so you never know what's going to develop in 5 years, 10 years, 50 years. And so those access points are so critically important to retain and hold in reserve for future usage. And anyways, congratulations on your latest acquisition. And the Seekins family, who I've known since as a child, they're to be congratulated also for their efforts and desire for preservation.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Yeah.
I'll just make one comment.
Yeah,
that,
please.
again, congratulations, and I think this is some really good work, and I think it's a real benefit to the citizens of Cumberland and neighboring communities. So thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you very much.
Oh, go ahead.
Just a quick question. Will the grant allow you to have any funds for trail maintenance, or is it just right now building?
It's for the building. We have to prove that we have funds already to maintain the trails, and that's something we do have a stewardship fund that we maintain and add to annually.
Any other comments, or, yeah,
Guess
Denise?
I'll jump on I support this bandwagon. I agree with everything Chair Filson wrote in her statement of support. Exciting every time you come visit us and tell us about a new acquisition or a new plan. It'll be great to have kind of creating this circuit of trails, and I'm glad that you have such a good working relationship with Falmouth and our neighbors. So I appreciate everything you've done, and looking forward to seeing what comes next.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the assistance writing that letter, which I wholeheartedly am very excited to endorse. And Penny, thank you so much for being here particularly. I know there's a very large event happening up the road, and it's just great to have someone here tonight. So thank you for this on this very joyous occasion. I would take a motion if folks are feeling like they want to offer one.
I'll offer you one. I move to support the Chebeague and Cumberland Land Trust and the Falmouth Land Trust's Main Trail Grant application.
I'll give you a second.
Thanks.
Okay, there's a motion and a second and a scowl. All those in favor? Unanimous, Brenda. Penny, thank you so much. And everyone remember Trail Fest this Sunday from 3 to 7 at Wander at the Longwoods Preserve. Sounds like it's going to be fun. Thanks, Penny. May I borrow your pen again? Thank you. All right. We are going back to our normally scheduled order with 25-098 to hold a public hearing to consider and act on amendments to Article 2, Town Council, Section 5, Induction of Council into Office of the Town Charter. This is another kind of a pretty, I think pretty exciting agenda item, which, you know, should lend well to efficiency and better kind of council onboarding. I know this was something that was really important to Councilor Vale. Bob, I don't know if you have anything that you wanted to hit at the high level before we go into council discussion on it. And thank you for bringing it back to the attention of all of us.
No, I don't have a lot. I do think that it's an important housekeeping matter that I think it allows us to, you know, have a start date and a stop date, and you know, elections fall on various days, council meetings fall on various days, but if you say my 3-year term starts on July 1st and ends on June 31st, I think it's going to be helpful in the future. So,
Just to note, it is a public hearing, but there is no one in the audience tonight anymore. So I guess we'll move on to council discussion on this. I think this is a great idea personally. I know that in the past couple of years, we've tried to take a more, you know, as we've had newer counselors step onto the dais, we've tried to take a more thoughtful approach to that period of onboarding and making sure that we're able to explain what all the different committees are and what the time, kind of the time commitments are for those, and just make it so it's more of a, like that there kind of is just some onboarding and some runway to do that thoughtfully versus, hey, you know, get up here in your first meeting and you're jumping right into the fire. So I think it's a smart thing. That's where I am. What do other folks think?
Well, I'm in support of it. I feel like we've had some good discussion over the last few weeks as this has kind of come up, and for consistency and efficiency's sake, I think both 99 and 100 or 98 and 99 are good things to move forward with.
I would agree. I just think it makes sense. It allows one person to close things out, and another person to know when they're going to start.
Yeah.
So.
Any
Just-
other, oh, go ahead.
Just an aside, I was thinking about this earlier. Sort of relevant to this, but something worth considering would be, why are council meetings starting at 7? Could they start at 6? Seems so late. My bedtime's 8. Just a thought. I don't
be
know if
down
there's
for
an
that.
appetite. Yeah.
Should we talk about that during new business?
Yes, but it just felt sort of
Oh,
relevant.
no, totally. let's put a little pin in that
We
and then
will.
bring it back up during new business if that's okay. I think the only other thing that is sort of a nice thing to note is that we've had a lot of, in the past couple of years, there have been some long-serving counselors that stepped down, and having that extra meeting also kind of gives you the opportunity to say thank you and honor them, and they get to have their last moment, which for the number of hours and energy that goes into being a public servant, I think is a really nice thing to say thank you. So I think that's just a nice benefit of this as well. Okay, if there's no additional discussion, I'd take a
So,
motion.
I just have a process
Please.
question, Matt. So with 25098, we're amending the charter, but then with 25099, we're putting that amendment on the ballot to be approved. So we're not really amending the charter, right?
Yes, ultimately, the amendment has to be passed by the people, so the council's really recommending an amendment to the charter is ultimately the action that's taking place.
It's a big deal to amend the charter, so.
So 98 should really be, we move to recommend the amendment, and then 99 is
Put it on the,
putting it on the
Yep,
ballot.
yep,
and
pretty
then
much.
it'd be
Yeah.
approved by.
Do we need to amend the motion, or?
I think as Councilor Magoon stated it, the record could reflect that, if you want to make that as part of
We
his motion.
recommend to
I think
amend
that
the
you just
motion
said it
to then-
perfectly, so maybe you should give the motion.
Strategic take.
Once in a while.
That's all I get for opening my mouth. I move to recommend the amendment of Article 2, Town Council, Section 5, induction of council into office of the town charter.
second.
So motion and a second. Any discussion on that beautiful motion? All those in favor? Unanimous, Brenda. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Bailey. Next up is 25-099 to consider an act on placing the proposed amendments to Article 2, Town Council, Section 5, induction of council into office of the town charter on the ballot for November 4th, 2025. Wow, the election's coming right up. So just to clarify, so anytime we make an amendment or we recommend an amendment to the charter, that has to therefore go to the voters for approval. Is that correct, Mr.
Yes, and
Manager?
at least 30 days prior to the election, so all the timing boxes have been checked, so everything's good to go. And Town Clerk Jennifer Doughton has everything's queued up and ready to send first thing tomorrow morning to get it all printed and ready for the ballots.
Excellent. Any council discussion? Oh, sorry. Nope, this is not a public hearing. That's the next one. But any council discussion?
I would make a motion.
Great.
I move to place the proposed amendments to Article 2, Town Council, Section 5, induction of council in office of the town charter on the ballot for the November 4th, 2025 election.
Give you a second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Unanimous, Brenda. Okay, great. All right, so moving on to our final public hearing of the night, 25-100, to hold a public hearing to consider and act on the adoption of the Maine Municipal Association Model General Assistance Appendices A through H for the period of October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2026. This is an annual exercise that we go through. I personally find it a very fascinating one, but basically we are adopting MMA's kind of the larger maximum assistance levels for food, housing, utilities, and other necessities for any residents that are seeking aid. And I will also mention, before we go into council discussion and any clarifying questions for Matt, that while this is a public hearing, we don't have anyone here this evening. So we'll go right into council discussion or any questions for our wonderful town manager. I have one question, Matt. How do inflation projections come into play here?
They, thank you for the question, Madam Chair. What they find is that they adjust those annually.
Okay.
So they might have taken last year's number, and I think what they do is they do, market research. As you see, there's certain areas that, like the maximum sheet has like the Portland HMFA. And so they'll look at that and they'll take those numbers that they can get from the marketplace and adjust those. So I think they'll do a rental survey annually. And then when it comes to food maximums, I think they look at what they had previously, and then they would increase that based on what they feel is the appropriate amount. And so, but they work on this every year to provide this. They do the best that they can, but there's opportunities there. If we need to supplement it, then the town also has the ability to help out for those who are in need. But ultimately, I think they grow them annually by where it would have been based on the cost of living adjustments.
I feel like they seemed a little low on the grocery bill especially, but we might just be a household that eats a lot. So any comments or thoughts from council?
Just one thing to flag. I don't know if anybody else got that notice from CMP recently about rate increases.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that will be effective if that gets voted by their board, which I think was voting on it. But that'll be effective, I believe, next year. So something to keep in the back of our mind as it relates to this and other things.
Councilor Douglas, to that thought, my guess is next year it may reflect that.
Okay.
That'd be my guess. This is what they have as the known right now.
Okay.
Of course, they do have to get through the PUC evaluation stage to get there, and I know Governor Mills had expressed her disagreement with it.
Yeah, I
Because
saw.
because CMP, they boost, it's the delivery charge is what they're looking to grow, so, and that's what everybody pays, even if you're on solar and you're 100% of what you're, if you're 100% offset with your need, you still pay that delivery charge, so everybody gets dinged by that.
Yeah,
That has a hit.
I feel like that's like always an anticipatory thing when someone's preparing for a shift in the market. So like
Yeah.
thinking about when cable was like astronomical before streaming came into the market, it's like anticipating the shift in the market is probably what that indicates to me. I don't know, just thinking out loud, but something to be thinking about. That's all, sorry. Everybody's looking at me.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Question/comment. And I'm pretty sure I brought this up last year. Every time I see it, it's like it's the first time. Talking about funeral assistance, burial, cremation, and all that. I think I remember asking you, Matt, if like a veteran or someone is on general assistance and they have passed, there are funeral benefits in place for veterans anyways. I think you might have to be buried at a particular cemetery. I can't remember, but wondering if those overlap, if one negates the other, if somebody would be, if they're eligible for general assistance, do they get to have both benefits basically?
You'd explore both equally. Oftentimes, we
Yeah.
recently just had a veteran who needed assistance that passed, and the VA took care of that. But there were other expenses there. But they had other expenses that we knew were there, so he did apply or did qualify for GA. So post passing, we've helped out on that as well. Because say you had your rent was due in your apartment and you passed on 5 days into the month. Well, the landlord still wants to get their money, so you can help out by that on the rent side. So yeah, there are options out there. Interestingly, that language says that you should also, if the family has means, you're supposed to pursue it and have them reimburse you after you've paid for it. But no town that I've ever seen does that,
Okay.
because they've tried to look at that. So if you can handle that as discreetly and as passionate, or I guess you could say compassionately as you can, we'll find that option.
Great. Yeah, I see stuff like this, and then it just reminds me there are a lot of benefits out there for veterans that they may not realize exist, especially those who retired or separated decades ago. There's so many programs available, and that's just one of them. So, random plug, unrelated to this, of if you are a family member who has an older veteran, please go look up some stuff and help them out, because there's a lot of stuff out there, and a lot of resources, especially being in the greater Portland area. Like the VA clinic downtown in Portland is very knowledgeable, and they have people there to help with resources. But that's my plug on that.
No, agreed. For the elder veterans, the benefit navigator is a critical way to help them get through that, to meet those challenges that come from service-connected disabilities or other areas that they run into later in life. So.
Yep. Good deal.
Just curious, so between the food pantry and we have the benevolent fund as well, do you feel like for the most part, kind of those two mediums cover any, you just wonder if there are gaps anywhere, and is there anything more that we could be doing or thinking about to make sure that people aren't kind of under additional hardship?
Mostly I think there's adequate funding. I think there's never adequate funding, but I think they meet the need very well in Cumberland, is what I've seen. For those who may fall outside of the GA side of it, there is the benevolent fund that people do take advantage of or use as a resource. I don't mean that in a derogatory take advantage of. I mean it's a resource that people can put to their best use. So we try to assist on that. And I know Paige Kabakis, who does our GA, is outstanding when it comes to that. It comes down to outreach and education and making sure that people understand that there are resources available. So I think with all those efforts, I think they try to, if staff finds out that there's a need, they try to make sure that someone finds out that there's opportunities there to meet that as well. And there are folks that do get heating assistance that don't qualify for LIHEAP, but they fall, there are other extenuating circumstances that, we as, I guess you could say, as fellow passengers on this planet, try to find ways to help them out when they can't get through there. So I know Paige does a really good job identifying that and brings those to the manager, and had before when Bill was here, and then picked up on that last year as well. So if there's a need, we generally try to fill it immediately.
Any other comments?
Last Friday, I went by the town office, and I was struck by the number of cars that were in the parking lot. It was completely circular. I want to say circumvented is the word I don't want to use, but, everybody, there was cars all around the entire parking lot. So there's, the needs in this community and around the whole area are certainly, there's lots of needs. Focusing a little bit on what other countries do and the lack of what this country does on how they provide for housing as a general rule for people who are in need. We really haven't seen anything since Franklin Delano Roosevelt and the New Deal. One of our own Mainers, Francis Perkins, was credited with the Social Security of the day, in which most of us rely on it on one sort or another. And then Richard Nixon, during his presidency, he was advocated for a guaranteed income for all citizens, and it passed the House and it passed the Senate by, I think they were lacking one vote, and the reason it didn't pass is somebody published a flawed report that was uncovered afterwards that said that people were lazy if they were given an income, a guaranteed income. In fact, the facts were just the opposite. When people were given a minimum salary, it gave them the ability to work to better themselves, to see themselves moving up the ladder of success, if you will. And so the needs in this country are great, and general assistance, what we're looking at here tonight is a very small effort on our part, but I think the best thing we can do is to question what we do and to look for better solutions. So this is the solution for today. It is by far not a great solution, but it is part of what we do, and so we'll have to support it.
Great. Take a motion if there is one.
I'll make one. I move to adopt the Maine Municipal Association Model General Assistance Appendices A through H for the period of October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2026.
I'll provide you the second.
Great. Motion a second. Any discussion on the motion? All right, call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous, Brenda. Wonderful. We will move on to new business, starting at the left. Vice Chair Eads, what do you got?
Just following up on what Bob said, bow hunting season is here. Firearm season's coming. I would strongly encourage hunters to donate a part, if not all, of their harvest to the food pantry. It goes extremely well. It's some of the first stuff out the door. Right now, hunters can get unlimited doe permits because of the deer explosion in population down here in the southern areas. So it's great landowner relations. It's good for the people that need it, and it's the right thing to do. So please donate your harvest. And finally, it's fair time. I may actually get Mrs. Eads and go this year now that I've got fair passes.
Oh my God, Mike. Throw me under the bus.
But please patronize the fair. I could give you my opinion on going to the Freiburg Fair, but I won't.
Please do. We'd all love to hear it.
Don't go. Don't go.
So toxic.
Anyways, please go to the Cumberland Fair and patronize. Matt, what's your big day up there?
Wednesday afternoon, livestock auction. So I've got 4 letters from different young farmers who have encouraged me to go. So looking forward to it. So I missed
So
it
it's
last
at
year.
noon?
It's 4:30.
4:30. Okay.
Yeah, so it should be fun.
Bracelet night. You were a brave man.
Yeah.
Very brave man. Half day
You,
Wednesday.
you won't find me on the
bracelet
tilt-a-whirl.
night. Whitney's nodding. She knows.
Yeah.
Good luck, Matt.
Thank you. It's gonna be fun. Looking forward to
That's all I
it.
have, Madam Chair.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
Counselor, we're good?
Just wanted to remind people that the LCC is having its monthly meeting on next Wednesday, October 1st, 7 o'clock in Council Chambers. And I just want to say that I think that the past few weeks have brought this to the fore even more, but, there's a lot of, vitriol and hate running around online. I think in the country, and then also online in the community. And I just wanted to, extend the thanks to the fellow counselors up here and everybody that's come to the meetings and gone up before the podium for being civil and just being, people talking to people, even if we have vehement disagreements on things. It's just so much better to see that done in person where people are respectful, even, on different sides of an issue. And I think we need to remember that we're all members of a community and trying to do what's best for the community, and we're all people. So I just want to thank, again, everybody up here and that has come up before the podium and talked to us or sent us emails. So that's it.
Thanks, Andrew. Bailey?
Okay, I attended a very efficiently run library committee advisory board meeting last Wednesday. Just a couple of updates there. They're exploring some exterior repairs for FY27, some capital improvements. They've started some scheduled interior updates. They look really nice. They redid the whole kind of like children's area, the children's room, the younger children's area if you go to the library often. general reminder that a lot of the program funding for some of the kind of like extra programming we see is funded by Friends of Prince Memorial and not the taxpayer dollars. That was kind of brought up as a conversation topic. Budget is pacing well over there, and the circulation at the library is pacing well as well as library visitors. We're very, very lucky to have Stacy over there. She does a great job. Thanks again, Matt, for repaving the court in West Cumberland. We are all feeling the love over there. Sort of. I think, to my note earlier, curious about meeting time, if that's worth a discussion. I don't feel strongly about it either way, but just something to think about. And then also, was there any further discussion about terms at the term limits at the why is it escaping me right now?
At the ordinance level?
Ordinance level, yes.
That didn't end up going anywhere because I think Mike kind of retracted his statement
Okay.
perhaps after we were provided information from Brenda that kind of laid everything out pretty clearly. But
Okay.
if that is something that we need to revisit,
Okay.
do that.
Just curious. That's all. Awesome. Thank you.
Did folks want to talk about the 7 p.m. start time versus an earlier time? And is there anything just operationally that hinges on 7 versus 6?
Madam Chair, the town charter
Oh,
is silent to
Yeah.
it. It just says that the council shall establish a regular place and time for holding its regular meetings and shall meet regularly at least once a month. So you have the full control over when you would like to set for a time for meeting. So that's ultimately council's decision.
I would be open to 6 o'clock, especially when we run late. And, I mean, other reasons, as long as workshops stayed at 5 and went no earlier than that. But, I mean, sometimes I feel like workshops maybe could, I'm not going to say be better planned, because that's rude. But, you know, like,
Could be less
Like-
time.
yeah, like
Yeah.
more frequent workshops, but fewer, just so we don't have them back to back sometimes, which is nice, but sometimes, you know, I don't know. Maybe things come up last minute and then we kind of have to like scramble to plan it. I have no idea, but yeah, as long as it's early as 5 stuff onward, I'd be open to that.
what are thoughts during budget season when we've traditionally started at 5? Because that would, I know 4 would be hard to make, like really hard
Yeah.
for me.
Oh, yeah.
That was gonna be my
Yeah,
comment
like
about,
4.
worry about budget season, because we did 2-hour
Yeah.
workshops before the meetings. And I think it'd be good to have a set time, and that's the time, as opposed to budget season, it's, you know, the meeting starts at 7, but the rest of the time it starts at 6 or something like that. That'd be my worry, would be able to get through those budget meetings, and still having the council meeting start on time. Because I think it was good to have the 2 hours, and we used up, you know, 2 hours and 10 minutes usually of those.
Point. I'm curious, though, now that we have experienced the amazing binder, and we've also requested that going forward, it's very clear what has changed. Like, you know, things are red if they've increased. There's reasons in there. Like, if those kind of like constructive criticisms are taken on board, perhaps budget season will be more efficient, and we won't need 2 full hours to do it. So I don't know if we could cut it in half, but I feel like there are ways that we could speed it up. I know a lot of it was me asking questions too, and now that I know them, I won't be doing that again, but, you know, it's,
There'll always be more questions.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
Well, and
But-
I also think the exercise that you have done a great job at putting forth, Bailey, is, I think we all feel better knowing that we have gone line by line through the budget and really have taken, it's a long process, but I think that we all feel like it's a transparent and also thoughtful process, and I'm not sure if that's gonna happen in an hour unless maybe we started in November instead of February, which I'm not sure we're quite ready to do. I don't know. Jeff?
I guess, you know, the one thing that I really think about is, you know, you know, I'm fortunate, I build my own schedule and I work out of my house at times, and, you know, so I mean, I can make it work for me, but I think of, you know, when I was younger and I had office hours, so to say, in Scarborough that went to 5 o'clock at night, and you never get out of work at 5. It's always 5:05, 5:10, and it's, you know, 20 to 30 minutes to get home. I mean, if somebody wants to have public comment, you know, they might get to nuke a burrito and eat it on the way down here and hopefully not burn their mouth. So, I mean, I don't know, you know, could we split the middle bit maybe? I mean, just, I'd hate to have it impact the citizens in a negative manner.
Totally.
You know, but I mean, I'm open to exploring it, but I also, the workshop time, I'd have a hard time starting before 5. I mean, I can, just gonna take all kinds of phone calls, but, you know, I mean, I think, you know, maybe if we split the difference, might be an option.
Bob, any thoughts?
I would not be in favor of changing our time from 7 o'clock. You know, a lot of the jobs that I take are, you know, 40 miles out of town. You know, if I'm in Phippsburg or Kennebunkport and I'm, you know, I rarely get the time to sit down with my laptop and check the latest emails before meeting. You know, on Sunday night I go through everything, but oftentimes there's additional information or additional comments made by people, and I rarely get a chance to see them. So moving it back to 6:30, I wouldn't support it.
Well, let's see how budget season goes this year and where things net out. And I don't think there's any like big full support for it right now. And then maybe we'll think about it again in due time. Just a thought.
I think it is smart to have the discussion though, every once in a while, to just sort of see if it still works.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I said this is how we've always done things at work, I wouldn't have a job. So it's good to your point, Andrew, it's good to look at things and see if they still work. And
Yep.
sometimes they do, and sometimes, you know, sometimes it's not reinventing the wheel, and sometimes
Amen.
maybe there's a better way. Anything else from you, Councillor Douglas?
That's it. Thank you so much, Chair Filson.
All right, Bob, you are up next, sir.
So, thank you for organizing the meeting. What was the date?
October 1st.
That's what I thought you said. Andrew, what was the LCC meeting?
October 1st, 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, so I guess we got back-to-back meetings. So we're in the middle of a drought, and a pretty significant drought. And it is extraordinarily dry at my house. And I got thinking about that the other day, and I said to my wife, I said, you know, I think we should get a couple of Indian pumps. And she said, what? I said, Indian pumps. What is that? And so I explained to her, Indian pump is a 5-gallon tank you strap to your back and
A hose sprayer.
a hose, and you know, you can hopefully put out a brush fire. And so the more I explored it, I even went online, and you know, you can still buy them. You can even buy new ones. And I said, you know what? We need more than 5 gallons. I started looking at fire trucks.
Used market's pretty good.
You know, you could buy a good used fire truck for $10,000. You know, it's not a. And all right, where are you going to put that? Well, you can't park in the garage anymore. And I got to put a fire truck in there. Anyways, where am I going with this? You know, the importance of the meeting October 1st is, you know, the town of Cumberland used to have a crash truck when I was growing up. You know, they didn't call it a brush truck back then. They called them crash trucks. It was Army surplus, or the, you know, tall tires, high off-road type of affair to get into the back country of Cumberland. And so I'm on the finance committee again with the county, and so there's a couple of questions that raised my mind is, you know, do we have, you know, off-road equipment available to us? What is our preparations for a significant brush fire? Do we, you know, and I don't think it's a question that Cumberland can solve, but it's certainly a question that the 4 communities can talk about, and it's certainly a question that the county should be engaged with, is saying, all right, what is our preparedness for a significant fire? My father, after World War II, went down to Kennebunk to fight the fires in 47, My son and I were up in Bar Harbor 50 years after 97 up in, and you could still see the burned stumps in the woods there 50 years later from the fires in Bar Harbor. So I think it's, I'm really looking forward to October 1st meeting, but just as a side note, we are in the middle of a significant drought, and fire danger is certainly significant today. And that's all I got.
Bob, just to share with you for the county, federal DLA, what it is, it's basically disposal service of federal property. So it's trucks, it's bulldozers, it's fire trucks. The county and state government, as well as us, have access to all that.
Nice.
And it's, like, there's some communities in the state that have done really well, like Presque Isle, Caribou, Sanford. They've pulled a lot of stuff out of there that have been really beneficial.
So one thing that's really interesting, just because you brought it up, Bob, I have a good friend who lives in Los Angeles, and which is, fires all the time in Los Angeles, and she commutes to Burbank frequently, and there is no kind of core and reliable government kind of dissemination of information for where the fires are that are localized, basically. And so this, like, they basically created, I don't know who it is, but someone's created an app which is basically manned by all ex-firefighters and call companies, which pinpoints exact location. Like, they pinpoint the wind speed, and this is the single source of truth for everyone kind of in California, because it's like, even, and it goes to kind of our dialogue the other day about where I texted, we lost power, right? And I texted all of you, and I was like, has anyone else lost power? And, Mike responded straight away with, this is what's happening, and you hear the sirens go by. But I think it's not even just equipment, it's also how is this information put out to residents. And I know that's California, but it was shocking to me that for a state that is going through so many fires and just the level of severity and frequency, that there's nothing better. So it would just be, I don't know, I'd be curious to know what, if and when, how that information is disseminated, right? Because it's probably not going to be on poor Whitney to be sending out, like, minute by minute updates in the crier. Like, how does that info go out, right? I don't know. Probably not something we're going to solve tonight, but things to think about. Denise, what do you have for us?
Just regurgitating everything I've read in the various newsletters I'm subscribed to around town. I recommend that everyone sign up for the PML newsletter and the crier. If you didn't, I'm going to read some things that have stood out to me, and I've already mentioned them before, but since they are now upon us this weekend, I wanted to refresh everyone's memory. First, the junk in the trunk, excuse me, at the library parking lot on this Saturday, the 27th, from 9 to 1, in conjunction with the North Yarmouth Waste Reduction Committee. All of the trunks are reserved. However, if you're coming looking for bargains and free stuff, you don't need to sign up. You just show up. Also, what's the other thing? The like holiday decoration exchange is also happening in that same time. So if you bring any decorations from any holidays that you no longer want, you can swap them out, donate them. No string lights, that was specified. No lights required, thank you. Donations can be dropped off this Thursday from 5 to 8 at the library, and on Friday from 9 to 5. Additionally, the library has some new items in its library of things, of which I am a large fan. We have a laser level with a tripod mount, got a karaoke machine.
Laser level is money.
I know, right? Blood pressure cuff and digital monitor, and a ukulele. So good stuff. And if you're doing any it's not spring, any fall yard cleanup or preparation of like your garden beds, they still have those broad forks, which are amazing for aeration and loosening up that soil. So highly recommend. Let's see what else. We spoke a bit about assistance, different forms of assistance. Bailey mentioned CMP raising their rates, talked about holes in coverage for people who may need assistance, and that reminded me of the Cumberland Wood Bank. emails that I get whenever they have events. So if you're interested, cumberlandwoodbank.org has everything available there to either sign up for fuel assistance, either through wood, fuel, oil, pellets, whatever you require. There is an ability to request assistance from the Wood Bank. If you'd like to donate, you can donate funds, or supplies, donations in kind. Additionally, if you're willing to volunteer, no experience necessary to process wood, chop wood, do whatever you are able to do. That typically happens on Saturdays from 8 to noon. It's in North Yarmouth. You can go to their website, again, cumberlandwoodbank.org, to find out where that is and sign up for their newsletter. You don't have to register or anything. You can just show up. They're always looking for people to help, and they provide assistance for not just Cumberland, North Yarmouth, but other towns around the county. And it's a huge resource that I'm sure will be used more often as people are experiencing gaps in their own coverage. Were you going to talk about the comp plan thing? Okay, I'll leave that for you, because that was the other one. That's all I got.
Go for it, sir.
All right, so, the long-anticipated date for the, West Cumberland meeting, for the citizens who want to speak with me is going to be on November 5th, at the West Cumberland Community Building, and I believe that is from 6 to 8, on Wednesday evening, the 5th, so that's, the deal with that. You know, Bailey made a comment about FY '27 and the library's capital improvement plans, and I know we're gonna be having a workshop coming up, in the future regarding that, and I'm wondering, should we, you know, we've all talked about the next couple of years being tough, and should we get more visibility for, say, 27 and 28? I mean, we can only build a budget for 26, but, you know, get the information together and from the, you know, from the different departments around the town and try to get that information visible as well, just so everyone kind of knows what we're up against, you know, the next couple of years. Just maybe something we can discuss in that workshop that you have planned already. Is it not,
Yeah, that's a great call. So,
I'm sorry if it wasn't planned.
No, we're gonna
misspoke.
do the we're
Okay.
gonna do the CIP. We're gonna do the CIP, kind of what's on the roadmap for the next couple of years. But I think you bring up a really great point. I mean, there are some projects that also require money that might not be super infrastructure oriented, right?
right.
It's not just about wielding the hammer. And a couple of years ago, I think it was my first or second year on the council, all of the department heads came and gave kind of their updates, lay of the land. I think we started off with Pete and Rec, and I found it to be super informative because it was not only this is what's planned, but it was also kind of like a wish list as well, and being able to see how they all integrated was, I found to be really helpful. So I don't know if department heads would be up for that, but.
I think that would be an excellent opportunity for all of them to, you know, because I know we try to, you know, pull that all together on the CIP as well, and if they can come in and actually talk about it, I think it's significantly important for them to be able to do that and put the context to it as well, instead of just looking at a spreadsheet and not having the context. Say, well, this is why we've put this in there, you know, and you know, I was talking to Councilor Mahalik before the meeting, and you know, you think about the big three, you know, Public Works, Public Safety, and Fire EMS, and putting those in there. Those are obviously our big three cost centers that we have. Their tools cost a lot of money, and they also have a finite life. So we're always planning for that. You know, you can schedule your plow trucks, you can schedule your ambulances, you can schedule, you know, police cruisers, and know that. So we, you know, those are kind of our fixed costs that we know every 10 years or so it's going to be this item or that. But then there are the other departments, which you don't want to give them short shrift.
Yeah.
You know, you want them in there so Pete can talk about, like you said, what they have for needs at Twinbrook and how that's gonna line up, or what Jen's looking at from the clerk side of it for replacement of voting machines, because that's, you know, it's been threatened for about 15 years now, I think, and we still have the same system. So those are all real areas out there. So I think it'd be good to have that opportunity.
And also for them to brag a little bit. I mean, Devin does, there are so many department heads that are doing all of this incredible work that we don't always hear about, and so what would you like, and also what are you doing? You know, I think it's kind of a nice thing.
Right.
Sorry.
No, it looks like Bailey has something she wants to say.
I was
so.
going to say, from a timing perspective, I don't know when that's scheduled, but I think it would be helpful if that was before the end of the calendar year this year, because I think sometimes things can get really compounded in the spring here.
Yeah.
And I feel like giving it appropriate airtime is important, and also collating all of that together and like prioritizing capital plans for this year, for next year, for the next few years is helpful. Just giving it a little more runway than throwing it into budget season would be good.
So I think we were talking about maybe the bigger, initially we were talking about the bigger Public Works, EMS, and fire. Sorry, those were the three main, right?
Yeah.
Police. We initially talked about November, early December. So
Yeah.
if we started with those kind of the high ticket items, and then we can start to bring in some of the other groups going into,
Yeah.
is it end of February we're starting budget?
Yeah.
Would that give us enough runway, Matt?
You definitely could stagger it over a couple different meetings. I think, 1 hour workshop with a select, let's see, a curated listing of departments for each of those nights, and then
Time limits.
Exactly. So I think we'd be in good shape.
Time slots. I love a time slot.
Oh, great. I bet they do too.
Yeah, I think that'd be critical.
All right. Get our code enforcement officer of the year in here. Tell us what's on his wish list.
He's easy on capital.
And then I guess I got one, I don't know.
Yeah,
I got
please.
one final comment is, I was at the fair last night and attended the demolition derby, and I want to just say hats off to, our public safety departments, police, fire, EMS. You could just tell in observation that we got a great team of people, good teamwork, professionalism, and really they just have pride in their assignments. And I mean, some of them are always easier than others, and they took it with a challenge and took pride in it and had a positive outlook on it. And I think they all deserve a round of applause for that, virtually. So.
Awesome. Tonight is the first night of Rosh Hashanah, so Shana Tova to all folks within the Jewish community in Cumberland. I wish you all a sweet new year. October 16th, we have our resident open house, which was one of our most fun kind of events that we do. I think full department heads are here. We also have the LCC is here. There are snacks, right? Are
Yes.
there going to be snacks this
There
year?
will be.
Sorry, there are typically snacks. Hopefully there are.
There will be now, Madam Chair.
Excellent. So encourage all folks to, new or not new, to come to that. And then October 20th, we are super excited from the Comprehensive Planning Committee to have our first public input open house from 5 to 8 p.m. That will also have snacks. That is going to have childcare. And yeah, there's going to be kind of a corner for kiddos. Really, we want people to be able to come on their way home from work or picking up their kids at daycare.
Really, I love that.
Yeah, we would love people to show up, and it's going to be more of a very interactive environment. It's not going to be us talking at you. It's going to be all of us listening. And hopefully in kind of a fun environment. So we're really looking forward to that. So I encourage anyone and everyone to attend, and please spread the word, because we'd really love folks to be there for that. And there's a lot of hard work that's kind of gone in from Bridget. So thank you, Bridget, for all of that. And that's it from me. And if there's a motion to adjourn, we'll take one.
I have a question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Matt, I have a question. I'm remembering what Penny had talked to us about with the trail work, and she had mentioned that she was in contact with John Jensenius about trails because, of course, he's our expert LCC trail maker. And that made me wonder, do we have a resource in town, like through Public Works or some, like a salaried person who helps with these kind of things and has like equipment that, I don't know. I'm thinking about the LCC, and I know that they are volunteers who put in many, many hours a year to help with this stuff, but I don't want us to or me, I'll speak for myself, to rely on volunteer work so heavily when it comes to big projects like this and like people burning out and,
Sure.
things happen. So I'm just curious if that's something that the town has or has thought of, or if there's, you know, enough work around in this type of thing to where we would perhaps need to think about having an extra person to help with that kind of stuff.
There's opportunities for collaboration. I know usually they work with Chris on that with the Parks
Okay,
team
cool.
when they can. John is a legend. The work that man does is amazing. I mean, so it's usually collaborating with John. Jen Senni is trying to get that lined up, but in the past they've done other opportunities to try to help out when they can.
Okay,
So
good deal. Thank you.
And I'll be happy to extend my equipment knowledge to the LCC
All right.
if
not
they want to if they want to
Just the
look
knowledge.
if they want to look into some mechanized ways of building trails.
All right.
I mean, Jeff loaned, what'd you loan?
A loader.
A loader to the fair this week, so.
And he brought cups today. Like, I mean,
And he
But
brought
no
cups.
tractors.
No tractors,
though.
no.
Maybe that's next. All the good things. And thank you to the fair for providing our special treat, so
Indeed.
appreciate that. Sorry, was there a motion to adjourn?
I interrupted.
So, oh my goodness. Prison for Counselor Thorson, just kidding. I would take one if there is one.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous, Brenda. Okay, everyone go get some fried dough. Or go get some chicken.